Good afternoon. I'm Sean Benedict, Executive Assistant Chief of Police for the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. I'm joined by members of MPD's Investigative Services Bureau to announce the arrest of Mr. Dion Lee for the murder of Miss Pamela Thomas. Miss Thomas was shot and killed while seated next to her 8-year-old son inside a vehicle while stopped at a traffic light. This incident is particularly tragic as no young child should ever witness a parent being murdered. My sincere condolences to Pamela's son, her family, and her many friends. This homicide occurred on February 9th, 2022, at approximately 3 p.m. on the 500 block of Division Avenue Northeast. As Chief Conti stated from the scene that day, this was a case of a stray bullet that struck an unintended person. An absolute tragedy, and why we are so passionate about removing illegal guns from our community. I want to thank our team of dedicated homicide detectives that worked around the clock to investigate and bring this suspect into custody. To provide some perspective, the team has closed 20 homicides this year, including 11 in 2022 and 9 from previous years. They will continue to leave no stone unturned in any of our active investigations. Our message to others impacted by gun violence is one of hope and patience, because you have the best detectives in the country working on your case. I would also like to thank our community for providing their assistance in this case and in all cases across the district. Your tips provide tremendous case value, and sometimes it is a critical missing piece of information we need to bring a case to closure. As a reminder to all watching, if you have a tip on any crime that has occurred in the district, you may provide that information to us anonymously at 202-727-9099 or text us at 50411. Individuals that provide tips that lead to an arrest and conviction are eligible for an award. At this point, I'm going to invite Captain Kevin Kentish from our homicide branch to provide more details on the case and our suspect's early morning arrest. Captain.
Thank you, Chief Benedict. Good afternoon. I'm Captain Kevin Kentish of Metropolitan Police Department's Homicide Branch. As you just heard from Executive Assistant Chief Benedict, this was a horrific incident involving a mother murdered in front of her only child while they were on their way to a birthday party. What should have been a joyous occasion also all of a sudden became a tragedy. On Wednesday, February 9th, 54-year-old Pamela Thomas was riding in the back seat of her sister's vehicle with her 8-year-old son next to her. Her sister had just picked her up, and they were on their way onto a party at a relative's house. They were on Division Avenue Northeast, traveling northbound, when at approximately 3:06 p.m., two individuals began firing at each other. As of right now, we don't believe the second individual actually fired a handgun, but we believe that the individual who was chasing him was firing a handgun. Tragically, Pamela was struck by a stray bullet during the gunfire. MPD 6th District members were in the vicinity after hearing the gunshots and gave chase to an individual who at the time they believed was a suspect. Additionally, MPD members responded to the actual vehicle that Pamela was seated in and found her in the vehicle, unconscious and not breathing, suffering from a gunshot wound. Members rendered aid until DC Fire and Emergency Medical Services responded to the scene and transported her to a local area hospital. Unfortunately, at the hospital, while providing life-saving efforts, she succumbed to her injuries and was pronounced deceased. This was a senseless act of violence that left the innocent mother deceased in front of her family and left the community grieving. Today, I am pleased to announce that we have made an arrest in a killer in this incident. This morning, pursuant to a D.C. Superior Court arrest warrant, members of the Capital Area Regional Fugitive Task Force located and arrested 22-year-old Dion Lee of Northeast D.C. He was arrested in Northeast, and he was charged with first-degree murder while armed, pursuant to a D.C. Superior Court arrest warrant. As Chief Benedict mentioned, this case was brought to closure due to excellent detective work, the assistance of the community, and close collaboration with our local law enforcement officer. I also want to give a special thanks to the lead detective, Detective Thomas Roy, who did excellent work and close on this case. I'd also like to acknowledge the Capital Area Fugitive Task Force for quickly apprehending the suspect in this case so that he could be brought to justice and a family could get some closure. Thank you, and I will take any questions you have in this case.
Explain to us again kind of how this happened. You said people were shooting at each other, but only one.
So initially when we got on the scene, we were told that it was a shootout between two individuals. Our investigation revealed that there were two individuals from rival neighborhoods in the area. We believe at this time only one individual fired shots, and he was firing shots at the other individual from the rival neighborhood. As during the firing of the gunshots, Pamela Thomas was caught in the middle and received a stray bullet as a result.
So one person had a gun and was shooting, the other person was just a target and not shooting? Is that what you're saying?
We have no evidence to prove that he was shooting back, based on, even though we have witness statements saying otherwise, but right now we believe we only have one shooter.
So you're only looking for, so basically, you've arrested the one person you intend to arrest in this case?
This case is still under investigation. We're still investigating that part of the actual homicide, but as of right now, we only believe we have one shooter, but we still have more work to do just to make sure.
Do you know the other person he was shooting at? Do you know
we
who
do
that
not know.
was?
We do not have a positive ID on that individual as of yet.
Okay. Has this been a big issue there? Because I guess it's a park there at Division in near Lincoln Heights. Has that been an issue with, some kind of rival groups going at each other in that area?
It's been an issue for us not only in that area but throughout the city. These rival neighborhoods sometimes, because the city's so small, they run into each other and we have gunfire that results from it.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, everybody.